Hello and welcome to another StarCraft 2 co-op video. Today we'll be looking at another post from a Chinese forum about the upcoming mutation. This mutation primarily tests head-on capabilities, but it demands far less from you than Assembly of Vengeance. If you can't beat it, it's probably because the commander or prestige you chose isn't strong enough, or it's something like Nova versus Air and your top bar can't delete them all in one shot. If you might not be able to take out the 3-minute wave, remember to put down some trash buildings beforehand. Of course, if you want to get XP or for some reason you want to choose a weaker commander, then you need to pay attention to the specifics. If you don't have the waves memorized, you should open up a wiki page on your phone to see the timings. Then, periodically check so you can move your army immediately after taking care of a wave. Of course, the most ideal method is to spawn camp. Also, Just Die will prolong the fights. As such, hybrids are more likely to charge the temple. When hybrids spawn on two paths, for example at 18 minutes pattern A, or one of the possible patterns for pattern B at 18 minutes, or the pincer attacks around 19 minutes, if the first hybrid spawn hasn't been taken care of when the second hybrid wave starts moving, the second hybrid wave might force its way to the temple, even moving to the opposite side's spawn point and then attacking the player's units normally. If you have glass cannons like Ascendants, you should mentally prepare yourself. You can spawn camp the enemies from the first wave of the double waves, you can quickly delete the hybrids that ignore you, or you can move forward to take out the enemies from the first wave. Just don't let the hybrids hug your backline and then they suddenly stop bugging out and delete your backline. Recommended commanders. Zeratul P2 specializes in dealing with Just Die. Whether it's the Surdeth Legion or the Devolution Avatar, they're both good at dealing with Just Die. His head-on power is even good enough to match Nexus co-op. My favorite thing is when there's JD and I devolve Bane's Scourge and Marines into workers and then watch them stare blankly in my base. Abathur P2. 6 UEs plus Ravagers. They're stinky, they're tough, and they life leech. They can also quickly switch paths when there are attacks from multiple lanes. It's just that you have to practice luring a bit beforehand. If the enemy comp allows for it, you can just burrow swarm hosts and attack a toxic nest whose autocast has been turned off. That way, he becomes a tower commander. When I was still a noob and pubbed a JD Life Leech Temple Mutation, my Abathur allies swarm hosts in 3 lanes fought the attack waves for 2 minutes until we won. I just watched in awe. Lone Wolf. Because of long range, you'll get focus fired once and you'll get hit a lot while waiting for your cooldown, so pressure will be put on Tychus's HP a bit more than usual. If the enemy comp is strong, you should throw your grenade and then get in a medevac and wait for the CD. Nux, Sirius, and Blaze should spawn camp and use their abilities. For masteries, don't put more than 10 points in Odin. Just make sure that you have a nuke for pattern B's big 2-in-1 wave and the big hybrid wave. This also ensures that you have enough medevacs to use. Stepman P2. Don't use both E-Gorbs on a single wave, otherwise you'll waste one while the enemies are still invincible as they revive from JD, and use Lings and Hydras to finish off the enemies. Dehaka P2. Pack leaders greet the enemies, creeper hosts finish them. After the pack leaders are online, there isn't much skill to discuss. Other commanders. Phoenix P2, your familiarity with the map determines your user experience because P2's DPS is limited. With JD, it takes longer to deal with the enemies, so you need to fight the enemies earlier and at the same time, fly the Arbiter suit to where it needs to be so that it can teleport the heroes immediately after they're done fighting. Don't forget to spend your extra cash on extra Stargates to stall. Once time is up, if the temple isn't dead, you will win regardless of how many enemies are still on the map. Karax P1, Swan P2, it's best to spawn camp the spawn points. As long as I'm in their face, I won't be afraid of long range and I can stomp them with towers. Zagara P3, in a duel, Zagara takes care of the early game, and then in the late game, I can stomp them without fearing long range as long as I place bio launchers and spores and spines in their face. A reminder, Nova P1, not so bad against something like Towering Walkers, which is weak against air. Against air, Griffin Airstrike isn't enough and the nuke doesn't delete them, which is a bit rough. On top of that, you need to micro well to avoid losses. For Nova versus JD, you can't just rely on map knowledge and throw top bars at certain times to pretty much win. The week after is Fatal Attraction, Purifier Beam, and Alien Incubation on RTK. Alright. I remember that this mutation was difficult because the Thrashers are heroic and therefore buff nearby units, and they revive as well. If you fight near the Thrashers, you will easily have to regroup your forces. But I play mechs. For these kinds of head-on mutations, wouldn't Alarak be okay? Use Ascendants from outside their range and blast them all to death. My Abathur P2 has taken on many mutations these past few weeks. This week he can fight again. One of the 4 toughest temple mutations in the olden days, a head-on one, but after Assembly of Vengeance and Call It a Comeback, this one is nothing. No need to provide tips for the OP commanders, I'll give a few tips for some others. Rainer's P2 or P3 will be good here. P2 is good against a pure ground comp. You can make Tank Vulture. Very comfortable, but because of long range, you need to prepare about 8 to 10 Vikings to destroy air units and detectors. Also, he can't really leave the base. With P3, mass BCs as usual, mix in Vikings against air and Banshees against ground. I recommend P3 in solo queue. Kerrigan, so this one, Kerrigan is also good against ground in this mutation. Just mass ultras and nom nom. Air is quite troublesome. I recommend using P2 in solo queue, and I don't really recommend P3. Artanis' P3 is good against Zerg. He can wreck face against any comp that he can spawn camp, and Dragoons clean up the rest. You should use P0 in solo queue and leave the rest to your ally. Me? I will definitely spawn camp with Lone Wolf. After watching other people's runs, I think he's okay, but my hands don't cooperate when I play Alarak. I can only play like a large Diamondback. Wrathwalkers A move like Diamondbacks, Ascendants act like the 20 damage per second slime. When I engage, Ascendants throw a wave of orbs, and then I back up and assess the situations. Wrathwalkers or Mind Blast take care of whatever's left. If there are many remaining, I'll run away and wait for the next round of CDs. I'll occasionally use Destruction Wave or throw down a few force fields to CC them. I tried continuous QE before, but I can't do it. If there are only a few enemies left, my Ascendants don't have Mind Blast. If I don't use Empower Me, Alarak doesn't charge in. He's not good when I use him. Thrashers are armored and their AoE doesn't do much damage. It was probably a 20+ minute wave in Pattern B with many hybrids where they took you out in one shot without your realizing it. I remember regrouping forces with Nova before. Ghost triple tap the Thrasher and then 1 second later, dun dun dun. Long range is also considered a disgusting mutator. Rainer's Vikings have +3 range to make them better to use, but everyone's vision range is also increased by 3. I strongly recommend at least one person choose a tower commander to spawn camp. Rainer, when there's inspiration, don't use Marines. With using mech will be more practical. Kerrigan, just stuff Omega Worms in Amon's face. Artanis, if you don't want to rack your brain, brawl head-on with Dragoons. If you want to use your brain, mix in some Tempest to focus fire hybrids. Swan, after your ally clears an area, camp the spawn points with towers. Zagara, roll your army into the enemies and they disappear. +3 range is not enough to match Frenzy. Karax, he's better than Swan in that he doesn't have to wait for his ally to clear an area. Nova, when planning according to map timings, remember to take the range into consideration. But against an air comp, it's gonna be like a grandma hitting her grandson. Abathur, 6 UEs, Swarm Host, win. Borazum, Black Hole, blink, you dead. What range? Han Horner, it's a bit difficult to avoid regrouping forces with Reapers. I recommend using P1 so Magmines take out the first life, then charge in. Stukov, it's just JD. P1 Tank Liberator, Diamondback plus some Queens for Symbiote. It's like a father hitting his son. Alarak, Psionic Orb, Mind Blast, Alarak uses his abilities, repeat. Just don't get to the point where you have no money to make Ascendants. Tychus, Lone Wolf, Spawn Camp, if you're not P2, F2A, Spawn Camp. With Nakara, Rattlesnake, I don't believe you won't have enough heals. Tahaka P2, eat non-stop. If you're fast enough, you can even have fun spawn camping with masked Tyrannosaurs. Phoenix, if you encounter a pure ground comp, you'll have a lot of fun. Urge that guy on Bilibili to upload the Rock Slapper compilation. Mix, ESO plus Explodey Troopers. In the end, Contaminated Strike is MVP. Stetman, the stats say everything. Super Gary, Ling Hydra, and Festers. Once they come out, you win. Zeratul, my stats are better than Stedman's. I also have a unique skill for spawn camping. Yellow avatar turning them all into chickens. And that's it for this post. What advice do you have for this mutation? Comment it down below and I'll see you next time.